Welcome back to the Fellow Fellows podcast. After a long break, I'm your fellow host, Pa, with my fellow host,
Rose.
And as you can see, based on my monitor, right now, Fellowship is a dead game.
And how?
It's I like Fellowship a lot. We had a bunch of fun playing Fellowship. I kept going a little bit longer than Rose, not by hours played, but by weeks where I was playing. And you did some of the how far did you get into the holiday event? I think is what they called it.
Not real far. I saw all of the 3 different bosses that you could fight and, mess with trying to figure out their mechanics real fast. Realized it wasn't for me. It wasn't enough to get me back in the game to just sit there and grind. Really.
Yeah.
Not a good patch.
Yeah, I would say it lacked a certain je ne sais quoi. There was I got the Mako, the base skin, and I didn't feel compelled to get any of the other ones. Got 10K, and I'm trying to think if there's anything that could get me to log in at this point until the new patch happens.
The thing for me for a while there was throw gems at me like they're falling from the sky, but I don't even think that would do it anymore.
No, it would have to take a completely new gearing system or something. And actually we should talk about this. We're going to be finding out, I assume, in the next little while what we're actually going to have happen from the new patch, what they're going to give us. And I've been talking to a couple people, and I know the consensus seems to be that if there's not new dungeons, there probably won't be playing a ton this coming patch. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I feel like if there's not new dungeons and all we get is maybe a new character or two to rerun the same dungeons with, it's not going to be enough to wrap me back into that game. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Crammed tons of hours into it, but
Right.
You can only make so many alts doing the exact same thing that you did on your main before It's like, okay, what? Why am I here?
Yep. No, I 100%. So I feel like a complete rework of the gearing system might be enough to get me to play it more than the dungeons have to meaningfully feel different. And I was talking with Xander earlier. I could see if they did something pretty crazy with the affixes. You played during Shadowlands, right?
Yes.
When did Encrypted happen in WoW? Do you?
Why is that not ringing a bell at all?
Okay. So Encrypted is one of those things that the WoW M+ers will talk about, and very fondly. They very fondly remember Encrypted. That's the affix that in particular, and I want to say I haven't looked into it, but maybe it crossed at some point that maybe the mobs would be in totally different places. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the I don't know. So there's certain things. There's a way with affixes that I feel like you could make the dungeons different enough where I would be down to play maybe not 300 hours for this patch, but another 150 maybe, like 1 or 2 characters to 10K ish is I could see myself if the now so there's that. I feel like not introducing a new DPS maybe is also, because they've only shown us the healer and the tank, right? The new healer and the new tank.
Correct.
What would you rather, if you could choose between healer and tank, DPS and healer, or DPS and tank?
I mean, for me, DPS and tank for sure.
DPS and tank, yeah.
Hands down.
I feel like they
Everybody wants
have.
to play DPS,
Mhm.
and everybody needs a tank. And we've discussed before, the tank is the most pivotal role in Fellowship compared
Yeah.
to, you know, WoW, for instance. You can carry a tank in WoW. You can't carry a tank in Fellowship, at least not
Not to the
not
same.
very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. As a healer, I mean, and that's so I hadn't played M plus for maybe like 4 months because I feel like I quit M plus before I quit raid, and just playing M plus today, I forgot how there's a couple people that were trying to help get to 2K. I don't even know what it's called. Is it Keystone Master?
That's KSM, Keystone
Yeah,
Master.
yeah.
Yeah.
So right, trying to get them to Keystone Master, and I forgot how forgiving WoW is compared to Fellowship.
Oh yeah.
Like you're in sevens and you just heal through it. It's not a big
Mhm.
deal.
Doesn't matter what's going on, as long as it's not a percent health based mechanic like some terrible dot or something. You just
Right,
heal.
right. And even then, like, well, 2/3 of the people can die and you'll still be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
as long as the right people stay alive, it's gonna be
Mhm.
fine. Um, so that is, yeah, I feel like a DPS and a tank would be the ideal combination. I mean, ideally they'd have a DPS, a healer, and a tank. But let's be
Oh yeah.
honest, us healers, when we heal, we're not picky, Like, I feel like between the two healers that are currently in the game, they're both solid. I've played enough on both of them at this point to I have a preference, but if I feel like healing, either one of those they're gonna scratch the itch. But
Yep.
but having more DPS, and I feel like this is one of the things that people getting the right classes, getting the right heroes into the game is going to be huge for bringing new people in.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so putting a priority on DPS, I think, is probably and DPS and tanks, because Lord knows there's not enough tanks in Fellowship.
Never is. Well, and to your point, as far as like how healers look at the game, like you can give me 13 different healers, but at the end of the day, you're putting health in people, or you're preventing health from dropping off of people. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of different like mechanically advanced things that are going to happen there.
Hmm.
And with DPS and tank, there's a trillion possibilities of how you can make it fun and new and different than what we've seen everywhere else.
Right.
And to choose to go the healer route, I know they're saying it's supportive and you're going to have to, try really hard to prevent the damage that's outgoing. All I'm hearing is Disc Priest. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, all right. It's just,
Disc Priest or something, yeah. Well, also maybe like Bronze Preservation Evoker. Um,
yeah, something along those lines.
Rewinding time. I don't know. Like, I think it's cool. I also want there to be more healers, right? I don't want to have to choose. But if I had to choose what I'm putting in this next thing, I would absolutely think DPS and tank would be the way to go.
Hmm.
I'm going to be showing up as a healer, if I'm showing up as a healer, uh, one way or the other. Because yeah, you're putting health in bars, and honestly, you could just like rework the talents of a healer, and I'd be like, oh, this is fun and new.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Give
a
me
whole new class.
a slightly different play style, and I'm happy. Um,
Mhm.
but DPS, there's a lot of different DPS classes out there that people can get accustomed to and want to, and just if you're like not copying, but generously borrowing from other games, right? There's plenty of different things that people would want to have the opportunity to play in the Fellowship universe.
Yeah.
Um, and then like, okay, so tanking problems. Tank wise, is just putting different tanks in enough? And what you've seen of their description of the new tank, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it'll be all right. It doesn't really sound like my style of tank from what I've heard. And I don't know. I feel like adding more tanks and just completely different tanks from what's already in the game, which I mean isn't a lot, is definitely going to pull in more players and get more people tanking. I don't know that what they've got planned is going to be it, but I think honestly,
So
like if it was for me, I'd be like, okay, you need like at least 3 new tanks. You need options that are going to appeal to
that appeal
everyone.
to a lot of different fantasies. Yeah, yeah. So that would be, and I guess with like a big one-hander, kind of more support-oriented, it sounded like. It's sounding to me like if Ret Paladin was a tank,
Right.
which
Yeah.
honestly they should absolutely make that. They should make if Ret Paladin was a tank. I think that people who play Ret Paladin and maybe would be open to tanking would enjoy the amount of damage output that tanks do in Fellowship compared to WoW.
Hmm.
Uh, um, so that's if that's the way it kind of works out, that's probably not awful. But yeah, I really want to see some. I really want to see some more DPS. To be honest, that's if we don't see more DPS, we better see some. We better see some major reworks. We'll see. We'll see. Honestly, here's the deal. I sound critical. I trust that they can pull this off. I think that they did a really good job with the first season, with the whatever you want, the first patch, their early access launch. And I think that there were some communication missteps that took place in there.
Oh, for sure.
They're gonna have to get their pacing down, and hopefully they're learning pacing wise what would be good. But I'm hopeful. I think that they, if since they only have to make 10-minute dungeons, you know, I mean, obviously they have capstone dungeons as well. But if they just gave us if they replaced all the 10-minute dungeons with different dungeons, that would be enough for me to be like, oh, this is a whole new season, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, they could just replace the 10-minute dungeons and flip or rearrange the order of the capstone dungeons
Yeah,
and, like up the difficulty for Cithral's Fall so that it's the final challenge. Something like
sure.
that, I think, would be a good way to not have to make new capstone dungeons. But I definitely feel like we need new small dungeons. Uh, and as far as class fantasy goes, just in case they're listening in, I want a tank that doesn't do hardly any damage, but literally doesn't take damage. I just want that brick wall where I can pull the entire dungeon and stand there and be like, all right, guys, make it happen.
Have at it. Have at it. No kiting. Just stand there and
Yep,
get rained
just stand
on.
there and take it. That's what I want.
Okay. Okay. Wait. Yeah, so like, give me a character out of like fantasy work that would fit this.
Well, I don't know how much anime you've ever watched, but there's a anime that me and my wife watched not too terribly long ago that was basically I was scared of dying, so I maxed out my defense,
Okay.
and she just sits there with this massive shield and blocks everything. Nobody can take her out, but she doesn't attack. It
Okay.
does. It's an anime, so obviously it gets to the point to where like her shield then starts devouring the essence of the enemies or whatever, which
Okay. Yeah.
but for me, I just want to be that guy where I'm like, if I'm gonna take a little damage, give me some massive self healing or some like over shield mechanic where I can just not take hardly any damage. Nobody has to worry about me, but I'm not doing any damage. I'm just standing there generating threat constantly.
Just okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I
I don't
would.
want. I don't want to look at a DPS meter. I just want to look at my health bar and be like, "Oh, look, that thing ain't moving."
It's not doing anything. Yeah. No, I personally give me a bear tank. That would be my. It doesn't have to be a bear tank, but give me a take on a bear tank. You know,
So you like the
bear.
type of tank that does massive AoE around them, has
Yeah.
a pretty liberal health pool, and if you press one button wrong, you'll die instantly because you're not in defensive stance
Oh no,
anymore.
I
We'll
took
call
I
it
took I took I took that button off my bar. What are you
that.
talking
Oh, okay,
about?
okay, yeah, of course, of course.
That is not keybound. I have to press that with a with the mouse. I have to mouse click it.
You have to make a conscious effort to go out of bear and sacrifice
I
your health for
cannot
the
fat
enemy.
finger it. I was tanking on bear today, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I took that off of my bars because I died and other people
Yeah.
died. I know
I think I
exactly
got a
when I
little
did
bit of
it.
that.
It was in season 2, and it was those 13s and 14s that we were trying to get done of Floodgate. That was
Yep.
that was you were there. You were there for it.
The best time to go out of bear form, honestly, is when you're pushing some high end
Yeah,
content.
no, for sure, for sure. From a content perspective, it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was working earlier and I heard you say something along the lines of, "How do I get into bears?" And I'm like, "Ursals or something." And I'm just over here like, "Oh yeah, just use one of your important buttons to go into bear forms."
well, because I'm gonna be, I tend to use Ursals at the beginning of a dungeon because that's when we're throwing all of our stuff out. That's my first cooldown that I start rotating through. Uh,
Yeah.
that's the I use that to get to the back wall on Priory,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll start pulling out other stuff. So. Yeah. Okay. So, we've got a couple. We've got Max is doing some super chats. I've always only played DPS or tank classes in WoW. Never tried healer much, except I had a resto shaman during Wrath, and that was fun. Main tank problems. Being a bad tank is number one problem. Yeah. So Max, if you check out Fellowship, the tanks are fun. The tanks are pretty. They're good. They're good. I think both of them are. How? I guess. What Helena is pretty similar to like Prot Warrior.
Pretty similar. I mean, no self healing, and
No,
Prot Warrior
yeah,
at least has some
some
self
self
healing.
healing. Yeah,
But yeah, it's that I'm super tanky and I do crazy damage sort of tank with good crowd control. I would call that pretty similar to a Prot Warrior
yeah.
in a lot of ways.
And then the monk flavor tank is not like a monk at all in World of Warcraft.
Even
Um,
close.
I don't what if I was gonna compare it to something in World of Warcraft, maybe Blood Death Knight, but that's not really a great comparison either. A lot of self heal,
Demon Hunter. It's closer to
closer
Demon
to
Hunter.
Demon
High
Hunter.
mobility,
Yeah,
fragile if you're dropping all of your defensives, crazy amount of self healing, but not to the extent of a Death Knight. Yeah, I'd say Demon Hunter is probably good, and dodge based, defense.
true. Yeah, I haven't tanked a whole lot of Demon Hunters, so I couldn't comment. All right. Do you have any comments that we should read? Oh, actually, before we do this, as you all have noticed, I'm sure we took a few weeks off for the holidays, and also just we were thinking about doing an episode last week, but there's just not a whole lot to talk about in regards to Fellowship right now. So if you could drop a comment, would you be interested when Fellowship content is light, if we do more general podcasts about other games? I will. I'm not going to stop playing WoW when there's no content in Fellowship. Or I mean, I might stop playing WoW, but it won't be. I will be playing other games on screen. I'm not just going to log into Fellowship because the Fellows podcast is happening. So, but if there's other things you'd want to see, please drop them in the comments on this video.
The shorthand is just because we are fellows doesn't mean we're gonna not play other games. Because, definitely not
Yeah,
logging into Fellowship until they come out with some reason to be there.
correct.
So while it's bad, we'll talk about what's out there that's still good.
That's still fun. Yeah, and what we want to see in the next content drop. So
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's not bad. We just played it. We just played through it. And actually, I think that we should do a little bit more on what would be a good content cadence for Fellowship, because we talked about it a little bit early on, kind of. And I feel like now that we're like decidedly out of the content cadence, like neither of us have logged in a couple weeks probably. What would be a good cadence? Because I like being able to take breaks from games, WoW is horrible at wanting you to log in all the time. Log in every
Yeah,
week for a couple hours a week at least for an entire season. And that's just
do
not
your
going to happen.
chores.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I did remix, right? I've got a remix character, Legion remix,
I saw.
and if that had been the way the game was from the beginning, I would have played Legion remix for 2 or 3 months probably.
Well, you remember I played Remix and I was like, "Man, you got to check this out. This is good." And you were like, "No way am I going to play a Remix." And now that I'm
I
not
know,
playing,
I know, I know.
there you are.
But they were time gating even a lot of the gearing and stuff, right? And the
Uh,
versatility gains and everything.
well, not necessarily. It was actually less time gated because you can make ridiculous amounts early on, and now
Like
you actually
the
can make way
like the
less.
frogs, like the frog
I
stuff
mean,
or
like a
whatever.
frog scenario, it wasn't frogs this time around, but
But something, yeah,
along that
some exploitation, and they
line.
didn't reset people.
They reset people to have it was something like 8 times the amount of versatility that I had after pumping lots of hours doing things
Oh
the
wow,
legit.
wow. So basically, they didn't reset anybody at all.
Yeah, might
Okay,
as well
okay.
not reset it. I was still getting carried by the people that after the reset that got
How
reset.
much versatility do you have on your character if you logged
Uh,
in right now? Which you're not gonna,
it
because
was,
you
it
don't
was
have a
like
sub even.
40%, 45%, somewhere around in there.
Oh yeah, see, but so you only have 45%. I've
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on my mage, I have like done raids 4 days maybe.
Hmm.
I've done my chores for like 4 or 5 days on my mage. I am already at like 230% versatility. That's what
And
I'm
is that
talking about.
230 points in the last capstone
Yes,
on there?
yes, yes,
The
yes.
wow. Okay, so they
Yeah.
did go back and improve it
Yeah, so that's
more
the time
than
gating that I'm talking about. Like my
I see. I see.
understanding was at the beginning, you were not gaining versatility where like you go through all the raids in a day for 4 or 5 days, and I'm getting like 45% versatility every day if
Gotcha.
that
Yeah,
that I
like
want to
there
play.
were people that were 700, 800% versatility whenever I was at
They had 40.
45% versatility.
Yeah, yeah, and it
Yeah,
did. So
yeah.
they didn't wipe people there, but you had to go like find your frog exploit or whatever for that. Yeah,
Yeah, and when I found out about the exploit was the day that they
yeah, they
removed the
nerfed it. Yeah,
exploit,
yeah, yeah.
and
You
I
get a
was like,
couple hours
once
in or
again, I
whatever.
missed out on the
You
exploit.
got to go
So
find the right things, the right
I'm telling
subreddits.
you, next time one of these comes out, I'm just going to be Googling every day what the exploit is
You got
until
to
I
go get
figure it
into the right discords. Yeah,
out. Something.
yeah. So Max
Wow.
says, WoW is what I would call workload intensive. Need to log in every day, week. That's the way Blizzard designed it. Kind of like a passive addiction. Yes, Max. Well, that's the problem that I have with WoW. All of the gearing, everything is centered around you can't just knock this game out. You can't just binge this game. You must stick around because it's based around a $15 a month subscription. If you don't come back, if you don't have a reason to come back next week, well, you might not give us the $15 that you clearly owe us next week. So that's I don't like the way that WoW does its gearing and everything like that. And it hasn't always been the case. In back until so you guys played for you played for longer than me, Rose. Do you know when it I know that there were weeklies and like certain grinds in TBC, but
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't like your gear was dependent on that.
Yeah, not necessarily your gear. There was, obviously, if we're talking way back, there was rep grinds and stuff you'd have to do just to be able to run raids.
Sure.
But, in
But you could
TBC
you could grind
forever,
those all out. You could grind the well
yeah,
in
yeah.
vanilla, maybe not
In
in
vanilla, you could grind those out. In TBC, it was dailies and weeklies for reputation, which definitely felt far more time gatey than vanilla did,
sure.
but nothing to the extent of what we have now.
Is Wrath when they really embrace the time gate?
So I don't think so. I feel like it had to be
Legion?
after that. in Legion, because I played a lot during Wrath, and off the top of my head, I can't remember a single time where I felt like I was being held back by time there.
Other than weekly raid lockouts, right? And I'm okay with a
Right,
raid
right,
lockout. Like
yeah.
that's a fine format. That's
That doesn't even feel like time gating at this point. That just
no,
feels
that
like,
feels like thank you
here's,
for saving my sanity. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Here's the reason I can't go back and run that for another 12 hours this
Oh
week.
wow, that's unfortunate, huh?
Yeah,
That's
bummer.
uh-huh. Yeah.
But yeah, WoW has my least favorite type of time gating. And I've been playing a lot of Warframe, and it has its own version of time gating. But I don't mind it. Its version of time gating is, oh, you want this thing really bad? We're gonna let you go out and get it, and then when you get it, you can play with that thing in 3 days because you have to craft it, and it takes like three
It
days to
takes
craft it.
okay.
But
Okay.
it's not like
Or you can
they're
pay
not
to have
saying,
it right
oh,
now.
yeah, yeah, or you could pay to have it right now, which obviously, as a
Oh,
free-to-play player, I'm like, oh yeah,
little
I'll just start 1,000 things crafting, and
little
then it'll feel like
patience
something.
training. Yeah, I need to get
Yeah,
my kids on
you're
this. Yeah,
trickling in
there we
every day.
go. Little John's played it
But,
a little bit. Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So his kept working, unlike yours.
Yeah, no, I haven't tried since then. Maybe I'll give it a shot this evening.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I figured you've got food in you now, so you should give it another
Well,
shot.
well, that's true. Maybe I'll like it even more. I didn't mind it. I kind of liked Warframe. It felt decent.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You were, however,
now
starving the day that
I
you decided
was I
you were
was
gonna play it.
now I have to earn gold is the thing, right? I because I'm not going to give WoW any money. I have to farm gold. It's become a problem, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how they get you, right?
That's
You
how
were
they get
giving
you to
them
go
their
pay.
time.
That's how they get you to go pay. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
Yeah,
aware. I'm
that
aware.
and that's
I'm
how
not
they
gonna
keep
do
you
it.
logging in every single day.
Well, yeah. No, I know. I know. If only to relist on the auction house. Emma says, I think if they up the reward for subscribing rather than Timegate and chores, and then you'd have a bunch of people complaining about welfare legendaries, Emma. Like, yeah, I remember when things meant something. I think WoW needs to go free to play.
Yep.
That is what I think. I think WoW needs to go to a free to play model where they cash in on the whales. The problem is they already have a free to play model and a whale model and a subscription model. So why would they ever get rid of it? That's yeah.
They have a free to play model without having to advertise that they have a free to play model.
Right. And they get the whales in the shop, right? With $25, $50 mounts, etc. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's they have all the models, and so why would they change it? And it's just managed decline in terms of rating and M plus. And then you've got housing, which is the first thing that hasn't been managed decline in let's see here. Probably Legion. I feel like Legion was the modern model for WoW, and everything since then has been Legion version point whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the weekly. You got your weeklies, you got your world quests, you had your mission tables, etc. And then yeah, no, it's so and now we have housing, and that's where it's at. And I did realize if I'm gonna get the housing decor, if I'm gonna be a housing main, I might have to raid.
Oh, so you can't even just be a housing
I
main.
know, because they're gonna tie. I mean, I could say I will wait until 2 expansions from now, and then I will farm the housing decor from that raid when I can solo it.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
I'm not gonna lie, that doesn't sound like an awful idea. Doesn't sound like the worst idea, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Anything else, Rose, fellowship wise, that we should talk about, or anything you
Not
want to talk
fellowship
about in general?
wise, but I do want to hit on your housing not being them battling the decline of WoW. I think it is. I think World of Warcraft. I I swear there's a dude sitting somewhere looking at his bank account and he's like, "Oh, that didn't fill up as much as it did last month. Let's trickle in some more things for my peasants down there to pay me more money." Uh, and World of Warcraft has always had this thing where whatever is sort of hot or whatever they think will pull people in, you know, Pokemon was big. Okay, we've got pet battles in WoW now. Oh, what Pallia's taken off? All right, let's throw in some housing. Like, I'm just waiting for them to tell me about the. Oh wait, they already did the battle royale. That's right.
They did the battle royale. Yeah. Upon my recommendation, yes.
Yeah,
It didn't work out so good, I don't think, but yeah. No, I hear you, but so this is the thing is that I would say like raids and M plus are completely in managed decline, right? You're never going to see a new raid boss. You're going to see a more complicated, more difficult version of a raid boss that you've seen before. You're never going to see a new dungeon. They're never going to give you a new dungeon. You'll have certain art styles that appeal to you. Like Ecodome looks nice, right? I like the way Ecodome feels, but it's not a new dungeon. It's just a variation on all the dungeons they've ever done. But they actually bought a whole game development company to make the housing system. And I do think that it is a part of the overall managed decline, right? And trying to get a different kind of player base in, right? A player base that's more casual, that doesn't really care if the dungeons are the same dungeon over and over again, that's not going to complain if you remove my add-ons, my combat add-ons anyways, right? So that's where I think that they are trying to grow in a way on some level that is not just managed decline there. So
no, I can see your point on that. It's definitely them taking a completely different turn from the normal. How do we keep more money in our bank? So
right. There's the how do we maximize the amount of money that our current player base puts into our bank account, right? You got that person, and then you've got can we get new people in? And this is one of the things that's been crazy as I've played WoW and I interact with people on the internet who maybe are a little more unhinged. There's a whole industry of games that exist completely because some people don't like World of Warcraft. They want to play World of Warcraft, but they don't want to play Blizzard's World of Warcraft. It's crazy. It's crazy how successful WoW has been. That it's essentially spawned an industry of copycats of Temu WoWs to make and then people make a bunch of money doing that. It's wild.
That is wild. I'm really disappointed that you didn't make your own Temu WoW and make a ton of money and get me involved.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do. We might have to start lower. We might have to start with like Temu Balatro or something, you know. I feel like if we're gonna start somewhere, let's start with something that's achievable.
Just don't copy Pokemon. I don't want to get sued like Power World.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I don't like Pokemon.
Good.
I don't like new Pokemon. Old Pokemon was pretty good, but that's just any JRPG really.
Well, and I don't want to talk forever about Pokemon, but old Pokemon was like, here's these creatures that you know in the real world, and here's a Pokemon version of them. Now it's like it's rock paper scissors mon, and I'm like, what?
I don't know. There's like Sheepmon, and my kids have played the Switch Sword. I think is the one that they have, and I actually felt like they used to be weirder in some ways. But apparently, you know, the other day my 5-year-old was like, "So which one is Pikachu?" I'm like, "He's electric, you know." And which one is Bulbasaur? Well, he's grass type, you know. How about Charmander? And then we get to Mew, and I'm like, was he psychic? Was Mew psychic? And they're like, no, he's all of them. And I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is true, they know more Pokemon lore than me for sure.
Mew is definitely psychic. They're
Psychic.
pulling it right
Okay.
there.
Okay. Well, you know.
My youngest was obsessed with Pokemon for a
So
lot of
you got
years.
the.
Unfortunately, I have an
Yeah.
encyclopedia of Pokemon
There you
knowledge in
go.
my head.
There you go. No, no. You know, I played Red and Blue and Yellow. It's all the same game. I think I only played Yellow. Uh,
Then you don't know how much they're not the same game.
oh yeah,
Those.
yeah. No, no, no. They each have different, one or two different legendaries in them, right? Something along those lines.
All right. So I'm gonna drop some serious
Oh,
Pokemon
here's the
lore here.
lore.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Red and Blue came out at the same time, and they were basically the same game
Yeah.
with varying things you could find in each. But then
Different
Yellow comes
starters,
out
right?
shortly after. No, same starters
Same
in
starters.
those.
Yellow came out
Yep.
and it was Game Boy Color. First Game Boy Color enabled Pokemon, yes?
It was the first Game Boy Color Pokemon game, but
Yeah.
also it was the first one where they're just like, okay, here you get Pikachu. Oh, and by the
Right.
way, he's gonna follow you around. None of the other
Oh,
games
yeah. Oh,
did
yeah.
that, and none of them do that for a very long time in the series before they wrap back around to that idea.
Okay.
As a kid, that was the coolest thing
That was
ever,
pretty
having
awesome.
people following you around.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're a
Pokemon
hunter.
lore.
You're a WoW hunter, but in Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. I like it. Okay. Okay. How
And we
what
did warn them we were going to talk about other games.
we
So.
did. We did. No, no, no. It's this is and if you want to see more, if you would prefer that we not release episodes when there's nothing to talk about, we can do that. We've got lots of things going on. We're busy people. We're men with children and wives and games we enjoy playing. So let us know in the comments how you feel. Do you want us to keep posting weekly even if there's nothing to talk about with Fellowship and we're just talking about whatever else we're playing and whatever else we used to play? Or not. We should just shut up. Maybe we should just shut up.
But while we are on the topic of them leaving comments, why don't we jump over and I'll read some of our comments from our last video, which we'll just pretend wasn't terribly long ago.
Yeah, it was recent. Very recent.
Indeed.
Less than a month,
So,
right?
right at a month. Right at a month.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, Just Randy 4811 said that he just found our channel and he absolutely loves it.
Nice.
Sorry, Just Randy. We'll have more posted on there soon.
At least we had a little backlog for him to go through. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have Big Shanak, and he said, "Funny you mentioned them putting it on the right side of Sailor's Abyss," and he hates that they put it over there. He's talking about the Christmas event because we predicted that. I was like, it's gonna be terrible if they put that on the right of Sailor's Abyss. Yeah. Nobody's gonna do it. I was wrong about the nobody doing it though, because people went to the right because they had.
They had to. They had to. Yeah, because you needed to grind for those little tokens or whatever. So
exactly, you had to get the grind. You got to get those outfits, cosmetics.
All right. Well, that's
wait for the day that Fellowship starts charging arm and a leg for cosmetics.
I wish they would do that instead. Honestly, I wish I could have paid them $15 for that Mako skin in an even glitzier version. I would. I want to support them monetarily. If I can't give them a monthly sub, I don't want to give them a monthly sub, but I would like to have things I could purchase to be like, here, yeah, keep making the game good. So
yeah, give me something shiny and cool, and I'll throw some money at you, but don't make me sub.
Don't make me sub. And
come out with more
and make sure you're coming out with content. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and hopefully next week we'll have actually some news to talk about. That's my. I think we might. What is it? It's the 14th today.
Today is the 14th.
So I think hopefully we'll be able to have something Fellowship to talk about next week, even if it's not a ton. Yep. All right. Well, you all enjoy, fellows. We'll see you. We'll see you next time.
Yep. God bless.
God bless, and good night.